kids, it's Grandma Jennifer. I'm coming to you today. It's a nice rainy day on the Oregon coast, and since it's pretty gloomy out there and spring vacation, I just wanted to show you a couple of simple toys you can make at home for something fun to do. Now, when we were little kids, we made a lot of our own toys, and I'm going to show you the products that you need today. So, you need a little bit of string. Okay, just everyday average string, but quite a bit of it. These are all string toys, by the way. You need 2 paper cups. Whoopsie. 2 spoons, just out of the kitchen. Teaspoons that you eat cereal and ice cream with. Oh, you might ask your mom if she has a couple of old ones, like some that you take camping or some that you aren't going to need for breakfast in the morning. Maybe a couple of buttons. Big, the kind with big holes. Preferably the ones that have 2 holes in them. But if you only have a 4-holer, these are mine that have 4 holes because I can't seem to find any big ones with 2 holes. We'll just use the 2 of the holes opposite of each other. A little pair of sharp scissors. That's it. Okay, so to start with, we're going to do a simple string game that, let's see, where'd my string go? Okay, we're going to measure the string, so take a hold of one end of it, and you can't really see my arm length, so I'm not going to be able to show you, but unroll it so that it goes probably from about on this side of your shoulder to about this side. So I would say if you're unwinding it, make it go from your, stretch out your arms and make it go from your elbow to your elbow. That's about the right size. Okay, now we're going to take that string, put it in 2, and tie a knot so that at the end you're going to have a string about this size or maybe a little longer. Okay, so now tie your knot on this end on both sides. And when you're all finished, you're going to have, so do a double knot is what I'm saying. When you're all finished, you're going to have a string like this. Okay, now I'll give you a minute to do that. And I just wanted to tell you, a lot of these little games and little toys that we made when I was little, we played with them a lot, especially on rainy days. There was, one time my grandma and grandpa were taking care of us at our house, and 2 of my grandma's aunts came down. Actually, there might have been 3 of them. They came down from Portland. I lived in Corvallis then, and they taught us a whole bunch of fun little games they played when they were little. So these games have been around a long time. All right, have you all got that string tied tight? So you've got your knot in your string. You're going to put it over your pinky and then around your thumb. So look, no string in the back. It's going to be like this. Okay, let's do it again. Around the pinky and over the thumb on your right side. And we're going to do the same thing on your left. Over the pinky and over the thumb, none in the back. Okay, now this is the fun part. And a little tricky sometimes. You're going to take your finger, your middle finger, I'm sorry. So 2 fingers this side, 2 fingers this side. Take your middle finger and put it through this side. Now take this finger and put it through the one in the middle. Okay, here we go. You've got that much. Now you're going to take your thumbs. First, go over the top one and pick up the second one, the same on this side. Go over the top one and pick up the second one. around here. The second one. There we go. Now you're going to look like this. Now, this is really, really the tricky part. These thumbs are going to come under this here. Let me slip it up a little further. They're going to come under the one at the top, and the same on the other side. Now you look like this. Now these pinkies down here, you're going to drop them, and voila. We called it cup and saucer, or a bowl and a plate. See the plate on the bottom and the bowl or cup on the top? Ta-da! And then you can let it go, and you've got your string, and you can do it all over again. There's a lot more string games you can play with this. That was just the simplest one. And I used to know how to do Jacob's Ladder and a few other ones, but that's the easiest one to do. So practice with that one a little while. Okay, our next one is just a fun one that we did when we were little with 2 cups and a string. This one, you're going to poke a hole in the middle of the back of the cup, like that. And if you're really little, ask Mama to help you with these sharp scissors. Okay, once again, right smack in the middle there. Okay. Take the first string. Sometimes you have to twist it down like that to get it through the hole. Push it through the hole. Pull it out. Now you're just going to tie it in a bunch of knots. 1. Just keep making that knot bigger and bigger so it won't go through the hole. 2. Maybe 4 or 5 times. 3. See, my knot's getting bigger and bigger. Let's do 4 and see how that works out. 4. Okay, let's try that and see if it'll hold the cup. Okay. That works pretty good. See? So don't pull too hard on it, but 4 is pretty good for mine. If you have littler string, if you have a skinnier string, you might need to do a couple more, but that should hold it. Okay, let's make these about, I'm gonna say, if you hold your arms out from one side to the other side, make them about that long. Make that string about that long, okay? So I'm going to unroll it a little bit more, and I'm going to measure my arm length way over to here, way over to there. Whew! And you can certainly make it longer, but that's long enough. And then take my scissors, snip it there. Now we're going to put, okay, so this time we're going to put it through this hole. Let's see if that'll go through. I might need to twist it down a little bit again just to make a nice little point on the end for it to get through and put it through that hole. Oh, this hole I made bigger. Well, I might have to tie more knots on this one, but that's okay. Okay, let's do our knots again, probably 4 or 5 again. And let me tell you, can anybody guess what we're making here? Well, when I was a little girl, we didn't have any cell phones. We did have what you now call landlines, but they weren't anything like this. They weren't cordless. They all had cords on them. And you might have had a toy telephone when you were a little boy or a little girl that had a cord on it, because Fisher-Price made one. And you might have carried it around for a little pull toy. That's what our telephones were like. They had cords on them. They were not cordless. So when we were kids, we didn't have any real toy phones to play with. Like sometimes you might get your mommy's and daddy's old cell phone because they've gotten a new one. We didn't have anything like that, so we made up our own. And these were our telephones. And why did we use cups? I'll tell you. So way back in the olden days, even before, yeah, I made too big of a hole. I'm gonna have to tie one more big knot here. My grandma and grandpa, when they very first had telephones, and my grandpa was born in the year 1900. You know, now we're in the year 2020. Well, he was born in 1900, 120 years ago. And this is the first phones that they had. If you guys have ever watched Little House on the Prairie, they didn't even have them yet, but they got them at the end of the show. When Calls a Heart, any of the old-fashioned shows, they have these kind. And what you'd have to do, they were on the wall, and you would have to go up to the handle on the wall and go like this, and it would go ring, 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 and you would actually talk into the mouthpiece like this, and the earpiece was like this. So here was your phone, and we would make these for our toy phones. And the other thing you could play with it was, if you had a friend, you could use one for you and give the other one to the friend, and then you'd talk back and forth to each other with your string phones, and we used to play with these all the time. So that's another fun toy. Okay, we've got this string that makes the cup and saucer and the toy phones. And then we've got the button one. This is such a fun one. All right, get your roll of string. And I'm going to say, give this, let's say, about as long as the end of your hand. So if you're going to stretch your hand out, make it go about your chin. About that long. Do that. That's half of it, and then make that double. So just unroll that amount 2 times until you get a nice long string. And let's see if I can make one about that long. Okay, and I'll double that. I'm unwinding my string. So I've got it about double that long. That should be plenty long. Maybe even a little too much, but that should be plenty. So you've doubled that amount, cut it in 2. Don't tie this. This time we're going to add the button. Now let me tell you about buttons. So when I was growing up, like every grandma everywhere had a button box, and our moms usually had them too. Anytime there was something, a dress or a shirt or a skirt or pants or anything that got too small or got holes in it, instead of throwing everything away, they would cut the buttons off and save them in a button box, something like this. This is Grandma's button box or button tin, and it's just, I don't know if you can see this, but it is just full. Well, there's the buttons. It's just full of buttons, all kinds of buttons. Some really big ones off of coats. Some that are a little bit shaped like a little bit like a bowl. Some have 2 holes. And I'll put it over here so you can see better. Some have 2 holes. Some have 4 holes. Some are shiny without a hole because it's on the other side. But lots and lots of buttons. You just save all of them. Some of them are diamonds. See how pretty that one is? But they had lots of buttons. They just save them because you never knew when you need a button, or if you were going to sew something new, you would just reuse the buttons. Nothing ever got thrown away back then. If you had an old shirt and you weren't going to use it anymore, you know, like I said, maybe it got a hole in it, maybe you just outgrew it, they could save those, and they'd cut them into squares, and they'd make patchwork quilts out of them that you'd put on your bed, or they might make curtains out of them. So, because I don't have a big button with only 2 holes, I'm going to use this one with 4 holes, but it's the biggest holes I have, and I'm just going to use the hole on this side and the one straight across like that. Alright, so where's our string we've measured? Here we go. And you guys might have played this game before, but this is a spinning button yo-yo. Not the same as the yo-yos we have today, but you'll see in a minute. Maybe some of you have played this. So I'm going to put it through the hole. my string isn't very tight to get it through this little hole, but we'll get there. Through the first hole on one side. Just a sec here, I gotta push it through. Okay, what can I use? Maybe I'll use the scissors to get that through. This little point right here, I'll just use this. Okay, I finally got it through. Didn't need it. I got it through the one. Now I'm going to put it through the one on the other side, diagonally across from it, not straight across. Diagonal means from the bottom to the top, not from the side to the side. Put it through the second hole. Once again, I'm not getting it. I had to twist it up again. String likes to unravel sometimes. So you have to twist the end and make a nice point out of it, like that. Alright, there we go. Ah! Oh, I can't believe it. I dropped it again. You guys are probably having a better time at this than me, but I'm going to get it this time for sure. So some of these games, like I said, they've been around even longer than my grandma, because her aunts taught me, which were my dad's great aunts and my great great aunts. They were my very special old grandma / aunt friends that I had, and they taught us how to have fun by making our own toys, and I'm glad they did, because we had so much fun. That the one day they came down to visit us one Saturday afternoon when it was raining and nothing fun to do outside, and we played all kinds of fun games, and we got out our marbles and they taught me how to play games with marbles. It was a lot of fun. So you've got your button through those 2 diagonal holes. If it's a 4-holer like that, or if it's a 2-holer, just weave them in and out of the 2-holer. And now we've got our other end, and we're going to tie a nice tight knot in that. So tie it a couple of times so that won't come undone. Here we go, number 1. And okay, there's 1. And then again, make it nice and tight. Number 2. Has anybody ever played marbles before? The game marbles, it's fun. Has anybody ever played dominoes? The dominoes, the old-fashioned dominoes. Oh man, I had some long time ago that were made out of ivory. Ivory is made out of the tusks of elephants, and sometimes they would collect the tusks after the elephants were gone, and we had special things made out of those. They were pretty awesome. Okay, I think I've got a tight enough knot. I did mine 3 times. I don't think... There, that's perfect. Now you've got a string with a button on the other end. Well, what are we going to do with this? Alright, here's what we do. See this? Their holes go through here. See this side? You're going to take that string and pull it out about halfway. Alright, does everybody's look like this now? You've got half of it on this side, half of it on this side. Ready? Okay, so this time you're going to just put this, hold it on to your hands on both sides, maybe 2 or 3 fingers, whatever feels comfortable for you. I usually use these 3 fingers, the middle 3. So the thumb and the pinky, they stick out. Okay, ready? Now we're going to wind it tight. And how you wind it is make sure it's right in the middle. Make sure that button's right smack in the middle. Balance it good. You're going to take it and start twirling it around and around and around and around and around and around till it gets really, really tight. Keep going, keep going, keep going. This is going to get so tight, and as soon as you feel like it's tight enough, you're going to pull, and it's going to go and make a tension so this thing starts playing back and forth, and the button will slide, and I didn't get it tight enough. I might have made my string too big, but we're going to get there. It's getting tight again. Okay, here we go. Pull it. There we go. Do you see how it goes back and forth? And the more you pull it, the tighter the string gets. And it makes a little whistling sound. And these were our button yo-yos that we had back in the olden days, back when I was a little girl. And we used to have lots of fun with these. All right, the bigger the button, the louder the whistling sound it'll make. Okay, we're done. We're just going to let it go back to normal now. All right, the very last one is our one with the 2 spoons. Okay, so let me readjust here a little bit until I get everything I need. One of the inventions that came out when I was a little girl, there was a couple of things. So of course we had the yo-yos. We actually had the silly putty invented, and we had something, with the slinky, and we had something called musical spoons. And it was a toy, and everybody wanted one for their birthday or Christmas. And what they do is they vibrate together and make a sound. Well, if you didn't have them or you didn't have the money to go out and buy these musical spoons, you could make them. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take one of the spoons and wrap string just around the bottom of it, a whole bunch. You want to the idea is we want this spoon to have a padding between it and this spoon so that, this way, so that these aren't touching. There's going to be a little bit of space between it. Okay? So take one of your spoons and start wrapping the string just around this part, about that much. All right. The first thing, I'm going to tie it. I'm going to wrap a little bit around, leave a little bit of string on the other side, and tie a knot in it before you get going. Once you have that knot tied, then you can just start wrapping it around and around and around and around. Okay, see? Round and around and around. And then when you get down to one end, then go back up. This one's going to take quite a bit. Just keep wrapping. Like I said, it'll take quite a bit because you want to make a little bit of distance between the two so it gets nice and thick in the middle. All right, let's just try that and see if that's going to make it not touch, if we can put them together like this. Oh yeah, by the time we get these together, that should be about right. Okay, now you're going to put them together and wrap both of them. So, okay, together, and then wrap it around. Now, at this stage, you could tape them together if you wanted, but before you go taping your mom's good kitchen spoons, you're going to want to find out if that's okay with her. That's why I said ask if she has any old spoons. So now, what do we do with this string? I would loop it through the bottom of this, and then come up the top and wrap this through here and back down until you're able to tie a knot. Okay? But the whole idea of this is once you have it push back down into the other side and get your knot tied, the whole idea of this is that you can play these, and we would play them on our hands. See, there's a little space between it. Oh, that isn't very good. We'd play songs with them. We'd play them with each other, all of our friends. We'd all get together and play musical spoons. We'd play them on our knees. Here's my knee. You could play them. You could have different sizes of spoons, and they'd make different sounds. You could play them with a record playing in the background and just keep them for a little beat. But that was our musical instrument. We made other ones too. But this was the fun we had with our musical spoons. And you know, I didn't know that I still had my musical spoons until I went up in the attic and I found that I still had mine from when I was a little girl. So sometime I'm going to have to climb up there and see if I can find them again. But that's all the fun toys and activities I have for you today for a rainy day activity, how to make your own toys. And I know the other day ago when I made that was yesterday, when we had the story and the craft with the flowers for spring. I accidentally pushed a button before I was completely done, and I wanted to pray for you all because I know some friends that are sick right now, and so anyway, if you guys would just let me pray with you for a minute. Dear Heavenly Father, I just ask that you would bless all the children watching this today, and your word says, do not fear, but be strong and courageous, like the Bible verse we learned yesterday. And I want to ask, Lord, that you would just give all of the children, all of your dear children, courage and help them be brave and not be afraid. And I want to especially pray for my friends down in Florida whose mama is very sick and they think might have the coronavirus. So I want to pray for little Lorelei and JJ and just ask the Lord to take care of your mama, Crystal, and just be with you all when she's recovering, and hopefully you'll have a fun time making these activities. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, see you next time, guys.